My name is Violet. I was in my 20s working as an accountant. After joining the company, Robert, the head of accounting and also my husband, was super helpful. He guided me through my job and was a great listener whenever I had work troubles. I was drawn to his dedication and honesty at work. Eventually, we started dating, and a year later he proposed. I hesitated though, because he was the grandson of the company's CEO, Connor. Robert consulted Connor about us, and Connor, who already liked my work ethic, said, "What a joyous thing! You have my blessing." So we got married and moved into the family home. Connor, in his 70s, is still an active CEO. The company is family-owned, and Robert's father, Hudson, serving as the managing director. Robert's mom, Ileana, told me, "I'll handle the chores, so keep working until you have kids." I gladly accepted her offer, especially since they had a housekeeper. Then one day, Connor's mother, Aurora, got cancer and passed away. Throughout the funeral, Connor was devastated, continuously muttering, "Aurora, Aurora." He lost his spirit and started talking to photos at the altar. Observing this, Hudson smugly said, "Dad can't work anymore." And then Hudson took over as CEO. That's when Connor's behavior got weird. He'd say things like, "Where did Aurora go?" as if she were still alive. Or, "Is everyone home? Let's eat," just after we had dinner. "Something's off with Grandpa. He might have dementia," Robert said. We decided to take him to a doctor who confirmed the early symptoms of dementia. As a family, we decided to care for him at home. When discussing who would look after him, Ileana said, "I am old and weak. I can't do it alone." I thought, "You're strong enough to carry bags full of luxury items, aren't you?" Ileana looked at me and said, "I've got my own things to handle." She's always lounging on the sofa eating snacks while the housekeeper does all the work. "What's keeping you busy?" I wanted to blurt out. Robert even said, "Yeah, Mom's got a lot going on. Taking care of Grandpa would be too much for her," siding with Ileana, which was disappointing. Violet can be a housewife. Hudson, too, is eyeing me for this task. "Wait, what's going on here? Are you saying I should be the caregiver too?" Robert announced, "Violet is quitting her job to take care of Grandpa," while I stood there feeling like a deer caught in headlights. Ileana looked at me and said cheerfully, "That would be wonderful." And just like that, a decision was made without me saying a word. By the end of the month, I had quit my job and become a housewife. Ileana let the housekeeper go at this point. I ended up handling all the household chores and caregiving, leading to busy days. Meanwhile, my sister-in-law Lucy, who had moved out after getting married, came back home due to a divorce triggered by her lavish spending and lack of housework. "I've moved back into my room," Lucy announced as she carried her belongings into what was supposed to be a children's room upstairs. My workload just increased. The next day, Lucy and Ileana went out shopping. It was quiet without them, and cleaning was easier. That's when I heard a bell ring from Connor's room. "What's up, Connor?" "Aurora, where is she? Where is everyone?" "They're all out," I replied. He just stared out the window after that. Later, during dinner time as I was attending to Connor, Ileana and Lucy came back. "Violet, prepare dinner," Ileana ordered. "Ileana, didn't you say you didn't need dinner today?" I retorted. Robert got angry. "You haven't prepared Mom's dinner?" Ileana played the victim. "Rob, sometimes she doesn't even let me have lunch." I was stunned. "How can you say that when you're this well-fed?" "Lucy, didn't you also say you didn't need dinner?" "I never said that." Lucy retorted, pretending to be clueless. Lucy said, "Robert, why don't you divorce this horrible woman and marry someone useful?" Robert yelled, "Violet, how dare you slack off as a housewife? You're going without dinner as a punishment. You probably ate something during the day anyway." Just then, Connor threw his plate on the floor. It was more like he hurled it, actually. Thanks to that, I wasn't hit. Get it together, Grandpa? Robert said, looking annoyed. That day, I went without dinner. From then on, Robert's attitude only grew colder. During the day, Eliana would scatter stuff around and complain as always. Violet, when will the cleaning be done? I saw some trash in the hallway. While I was preparing dinner in the kitchen, Eliana would chime in, Let me help you, only to burn the food in the pot, spill ketchup and sauce, make a mess, drop a glass, and even step on my hand while I was tidying up. Because of her, I injured my hand with a piece of glass. Seeing me wince, Eliana said, Oh, sorry about that, didn't mean to, but didn't seem to feel bad at all. And now the ketchup and sauce stains are permanent and the cuts on my hand stung. One evening, as I was getting out of the shower and walking past the living room on my way to my room, I heard voices. Robert was back and everyone was having a conversation. Dad, I want to live in a high-rise apartment. Grandpa keeps lurking around and it's creepy, Lucy said in a whiny voice. Yeah, whenever I see Dad's face, it makes me wish he'd go away to Mom's place. He still has his CEO face, even though I am the one in charge now, Hudson added. Eliana chimed in. Seriously, Connor has money, yet he never shares it with me and he makes me do all the housework. All in all, they are a terrible family. Turns out they were discussing living in a high-rise because they didn't have the funds. I'll search for some money in Grandpa's room while Violet is away, Lucy suggested. What a heartless family, I thought as I quietly returned to my room. The treasure hunt began the next day. Though nobody ever came into my room before, they started invading my space one by one whenever I wasn't around. Finally, one day, Eliana announced, We're moving to a high-rise and Violet, you'll be the live-in nurse, before moving out right away. Standing dumbfounded at the door, Connor gently tapped me on the shoulder. They've all left, he said, looking at my distressed face. It's okay, we all know the truth, he reassured me. Relieved to see Connor in good health, tears filled my eyes. Days later, a well-dressed man came visiting. Ah, Charles, good to see you. Let's hear the details. Connor welcomed him in. This man was Robert's brother, whom I had never met since he left the house after college. Here are the investigation results. Charles handed over some documents, and Connor examined them meticulously. I called everyone back to the house as Connor requested. The next day, they all showed up grinning from ear to ear, probably thinking they'd soon lay claim to Connor's assets. Just then, the door opened and Connor walked in confidently, dressed in a suit. Dad, what's going on? Can dementia be cured? Hudson blurted out. Fools! The Dementia Act is over. I've called everyone here because the investigation is complete, Connor declared, glaring at them. What? An act? An investigation? Everyone was stunned. Connor sneered. You've all been up to a lot. I know everything. And threw an envelope onto the table. I had the investigator dig deep, Connor announces, stirring the room into a buzz. Let's move on to what they found. Charles walks into the room, making this pronouncement. Seeing Charles after so long, everyone's shocked. They start hurling insults. Why are you here? Get out! Ignoring the shouts, Charles says, First up, Dad. Ever since you took over the company from Grandpa, money's been moving in weird ways. Care to explain? Hudson plays dumb. I have no idea what you're talking about. But all the evidence points to the contrary. Charles continues, You're not just misusing company funds, Dad. You're having affairs too. What a great family we are. Eliana starts accusing Hudson. You're cheating on me? Mom, you're doing the same thing, aren't you? As Charles shows a picture of Hudson and Eliana caught in the act, he peers into both their faces. Even worse, it seems I'm the only real child of Dad and Mom. Mom's been busy cheating all the time. With a sad face, he looks at Robert and Lucy. The room's a mess. Apart from me, Connor, and Charles, everyone's panicking. Lucy cries out, "What about my luxury condo?" Hudson is losing his cool, wondering what will become of his embezzlements and affairs. The family is at each other's throats, a complete disaster. Despite the chaos, they turn to Connor and Charles for salvation, making all sorts of excuses. Connor, unswayed, turns to me and warmly smiles. "Violet, don't you have something to say? I used to do all the housework and caregiving and never had a day off. Whether I lost weight from skipping meals or got injured, Robert never noticed. I couldn't even afford new clothes, just wearing my old stuff from my single days. Ileana ruined those too. But forget all that, I'm just happy that Connor is doing well," I said, feeling a bit more cheerful. Hudson ended up getting sued for embezzlement, went to court, and was found guilty. Although he promised to pay damages, it seems like he got off with probation. However, all his assets were seized and he's now jobless. Turns out Ileana has been cheating for years. Of their 3 children, only Charles is Hudson's. Robert and Lucy are from her affairs. As for the divorce, both were at fault, so no alimony was rewarded. Ileana has since disappeared. Interestingly, Robert also embezzled company funds and was sued for hefty damages, pushing him into bankruptcy. When I found out Robert has been cheating too, I couldn't even muster the emotion to feel sad anymore. Armed with evidence, I filed for divorce and demanded compensation for years of mistreatment. Now Robert works at a cleaning company to make these payments, but is reportedly getting scolded by younger part-timers because he's incompetent, yet arrogant. What Lucy had found was that the $2 million in gold bars that Connor had given to Aurora, Lucy liquidated the gold and seemingly purchased a high-rise condo. However, Connor wasn't willing to forgive Lucy, who's not his biological grandchild, for stealing it. He demanded the gold's worth in cash or threatened to sue, so Lucy had no choice but to relinquish her high-rise. Later, Charles evicted the in-laws from the condo. The high-rise dream was lost, and the condo wasn't sold for as much as it was bought for. All that remained was a debt of $200,000. Evicted, they all moved to cheap, crumbling apartments and are struggling even to find food, according to Charles. "Eventually, they'll be homeless," Charles chuckled. The business has been taken over by other relatives. Charles has moved back home, and now we're remarried and living happily ever after.